Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United, have no doubts about this, are in big trouble. As we collect our thoughts from the weekend, and we had Rio Ferdinand on a fan cam. If you haven't seen that, give it a watch. Click the eye in the top right hand corner. We had Ollie out, we had Ollie in, we had on the fence. We've had patience, we need more time. We're in a club in crisis. Where are we this morning? And I think it's very important as a Manchester United fan that you start to grasp what's going on. It's not easy. It is like a game of pass the parcel at the moment. There's so many layers to this. You rip a layer off and there's more information there. And definitely, look, it's not as simple as Ollie in, Ollie out, Board out, Glazers out. It's grey. It's very grey in between. But one thing I would say is, and I don't like listening to Jose Mourinho because he did deserve the sack. He did do well to get second place. But he deserved the sack in the end. He was a bad manager for Manchester United. But one thing he did say yesterday that really did make a lot of sense is, I deserved the sack, but this club is in a worse position than it was last year. And he's right. This football club, Manchester United, the club that we love, is in the worst position it's ever been since we were relegated in the 70s. I don't think that's up for debate. And I think every United fan would agree the situation we're in at the moment is absolutely terrible. Whatever you think the reasons are, whatever you are doing, if you're sitting on your hands just waiting for it to get worse, if you're actively saying I want this to happen, if you're actively saying you want that to happen, the reality is we're in a bloody mess. And next Monday we play Arsenal. By the time that kicks off, we will be mid-table. Look at the fixtures. We will be mid-table. And we are a mid-table club. We've been joking about this for a couple of years. We're a mid-table club. We were saying it under Mourinho. The way we play, we're a mid-table club. But we always knew we're not really a mid-table club. We always knew we're in the top six. We are a mid-table club now. We are a mid-table club. And you've got to start looking at what's going on and try and find some sort of clarity in the madness. Now, my big issue at the moment is, look, I saw that clip last night where the Arsenal fan is there. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing autographs. It's been deleted, but I'll tell you what happened. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing autographs for fans after the West Ham game. You know, he doesn't look happy, but he's doing the autographs. Somebody's filming him and says, what do you think, Joel? Ollie sort of turns thinking it's a nice thing, and then he goes, Ollie sacked in the morning. And you can just see the vulnerability. It's bullying. It's bloody bullying. It's, you know, people will say, oh, what great banter it is. You've just humiliated a human being there for the masses. And when I saw that clip, I was like, I'm Ollie in. Screw it. I'm Ollie in. I don't like bullies. I will stick up for the victim every single time. He's my manager. I'm backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm not having that. It humiliated him. It's disgusting. And it made me want to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Not because of anything he's doing on the pitch. Just simply, I don't like bullying. And I'm sure a lot of you lot felt the same. And then you think, well, that's just stupid. I mean, look, I'm going to back Ollie in that situation, but what's going on at the club? Is there any accountability for him? And I think, you know what? I think there's a responsibility on a lot of people who are just doing things for the wrong reason. They're doing it for the wrong reason. And it's such a shame that, you know, Rio Ferdinand stopped next to our fan cams yesterday, you know, shouted out, Flex, says, what's going on, and started to give his opinion, and then he had to drive off because I think there was a police car behind him. It would be brilliant to get a Rio Ferdinand or a Gary Neville or somebody to actually have a chat with the channel, like a proper sit-down chat with where people can express both sides of the story. Because basically what Rio Ferdinand is saying is, you can't be sacking a manager every couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago he was the right man, now he's not the right man. You've got to trust the process, you've got to be patient, etc, etc. Look, Rio Ferdinand is a great Manchester United ex-player, and I've got a lot of time for him. But I don't think what Gary Neville says, I don't think what a lot of these ex-pundits say helps. I don't think it does. I mentioned the bowl of soup at the weekend, and I feel like United is a big bowl of soup at the moment, and there's too many ingredients in it. There's too many ingredients, it's confusing. But the reality is the soup is shit. It's absolutely terrible, but there's too many people chucking ingredients in. Look, Gary Neville speaks a lot of sense about this football club, and he's got every right to have his say on what he has to say, just like any of you do as a United fan. But this is a man who didn't want David Moyes to be sacked. He didn't want Mourinho to be sacked. So whatever he says about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to be honest with you, I don't really want to listen to what Gary Neville says about the manager, because he's been proven wrong, I believe, twice. I think David Moyes was an absolute disaster, and I think Mourinho needed to be sacked. But Gary, I respect him, and obviously doesn't like managers who get the sack. And also, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is one of his big mates. So if Gary Neville says you can't sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I don't really have a lot of faith in that, because although it's his opinion, I don't agree with that. When Rio Ferdinand says, well, you can't sack a manager because you've just got to trust the process. Well, look, it's such a shame we didn't get to come back at him and just say some things. Look, I'm not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out, but what I'm saying is, There are massive issues with that football club, and it's accountability at every level. There needs to be some leadership in that football club. And you get Patrice Evra coming out with a brilliant tweet, passionately saying, tagging Man United and saying, let us sort this club out. I'm sorry, Patrice Evra. You were a great left back, but I don't want you to sort this out. I don't. It's just passion merchant time. It's high five. Get the legends in. No. This is a man who does videos with raw chicken and says, I love this game. He's a brilliant character who's only just started his coaching badges. He's at Manchester United at the moment to complete his coaching badges. He's got no coaching background other than he'll be stood on the touchline going, come on, kissing the badge. That's not enough. It's so naive. It's not enough. I've seen it at so many clubs. Ex-players brought in who were brilliant players and they fail. Look at Liverpool. They've got a passion merchant in Klopp. He's never played for the club. He had loads of experience at Dortmund and was an exciting manager. Look at Pep. Look at Poch. Look at Brendan Rodgers. You know, the only person who's an ex-player who's doing well is Lampard, who actually went to Derby County, had a philosophy, did really well, and he's still a bit of a risk, but at least he's got a vision. That's what Ollie's meant to be doing. But as I said yesterday, and I'm not going down this road again, what Ollie did as a temporary manager does not bear any resemblance to what he's doing as a permanent manager. The first 3 months, it was exciting football. It went really, really well. Since he's had the permanent job, I don't know what's gone wrong. There's too many confusing lines that come from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But the reality is, when you look at that team yesterday, he said before the game, I've picked Matic for experience. This is the same players you picked against Everton that you said won't be part of the future. And you're picking Matic and Mata. Like, this is why fans are getting really annoyed with Ollie. Because I've got to give both sides here. They're annoyed with Ollie because they love him and respect him. But he's sending a confused message. He picked the team yesterday. Whether Gary Neville, Roy Keane, Rio Ferdinand, any United fan wants to stick up for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, somebody should have had the balls to say yesterday he's picked the wrong team. And his message is confused at the moment. This is not the manager we all wanted back in March. Ollie's at the wheel. He's totally changed his philosophy and he's totally changed the way he's picking his team. We're playing with two centre defensive midfielders. He didn't used to do that. He speaks about youth, but he's picking Matic and Mata. If he'd picked this team yesterday, if he'd picked Fred instead of Matic, Angel Gomez instead of Mata, and put Lingard on the right hand side instead of Pereira, and we'd lost 2-0. We would have been disappointed, but I guarantee nobody would be going, Ollie out, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's crap. They would have said, he's picking the best of what he's got. This is the board's fault. They didn't invest in the midfield. That is still true. They didn't invest in the midfield and they didn't invest in the attack. But yesterday, he could have picked a better team and he picked Mata and Matic. So he sort of made his excuse that the Glazers didn't back him in the summer redundant because of the team that he picked. And people who say, well, he couldn't pick Fred because Fred's not fit enough. Fred played exactly the same game that Matic played. And the worst thing about Matic is, and I think Matic has sort of been symbolic, Matic played against Leicester for an hour and got subbed off because he was crap. Fred came on and pushed the team further up the pitch and we got over the line and won the game. Against the Astana, Matic was crap and Fred was very good. Against West Ham, a game we need to win, he drops Fred for Matic. It makes no sense based on the last two performances that you've had from that player. And it sends the wrong message out. There is no vision, there is no philosophy, there is no path. So why should we be patient? You've got to be critical of what's going on the pitch. And the most important thing for me is when you look at like people saying, oh, you need patience with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you need to be patient. To me, as a manager, I sort of have figured this out. I think he knows he's in trouble and he's trying to grind out results like Leicester. He's not playing the way he wanted to play in that first 3 months when there was no pressure. He's playing like a manager under pressure now. And very rarely does that get turned round. You look at what he's doing. Look at the Leicester game. Very defensive, trying to nick a goal and defend it. Look at the West Ham game. Very defensive, trying to not concede to try and nick a goal and win it. We are not playing to win games. We are playing to try and not lose games. And that is when you start to worry about a manager because he's not... Ollie, just go back to what you did in the first 3 months. I'm not Ollie out. Just go back. If you're going to get the sack, which is what's going to happen, I'll tell you what, if you continue down this route, defending games, parking the bus, playing Matic and Mata, you're going to get the sack. It probably might not happen till May, but you are going to get the sack. Go back to why you got the job. Go back to that first 3 months where you play on the front foot, you play 1 CDM, you play 2 box-to-box, and you get the ball forward quickly. Go back to that. If you lose the job that way, you lose it the right way. But don't lose your job doing this obvious, you're scared, you're trying to keep your job, you're trying to grind out results. That's not the United way. That's not what you said we were going to do. Where's this fitness? Where's this front foot football? That's my issue with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is that the football we're getting, the decisions he's making are massively, massively concerning. And that anybody who says that's right, if you decide to go Ollie out with that, that's up to you. But that's not where I'm at. I still think he can go back to what he was before. I still think he can lead us into this brave new world. But at the moment, I ain't being patient and I'm not accepting that. That was terrible yesterday. It was terrible selections. And any legend of the club who says you've got to trust the process, I don't trust that process yesterday. Show me a vision like Lampard is at Chelsea and I will get behind it. But at the moment, it's a bloody mess. And the coaching and the players, again, are under the spotlight. And you have to start saying, is Mike Phelan past it? You know, was he good a few years ago? Is he past it? Is Carrick, McKenna and Solskjaer, are they just nice people? Some of them legends of the club, but they're not good enough at this level. They're the questions at the moment that you look at in relation to the managerial and the playing staff. And that needs to be sorted out. And I think, I was speaking to Flex this morning. I don't think we're going to lose to Arsenal. I think this squad will do what it always does. It will bounce back in a big game and it will show passion and we'll get a draw or we'll get a win and everyone will say everything's fine. Then we'll go to Newcastle and lose because that's what we do. But in relation to Ollie, I'm not Ollie out. But I'm confused, disappointed, and there is a big issue there that should not be swept under the carpet by people who are his mates or pundits or who want, you know what? And maybe someone like Rio Ferdinand, because he was linked to the sporting director job, doesn't want to say anything negative about the club because he still wants to be kept in their good books. Look, if anyone from Manchester United is listening to this video, no fan is against the club. If we're moaning about sacking the Glazers, sacking Woodward, sacking Ollie, sacking the players, whatever you want, it's because you want the best for the football club. And if the club actually opened their ears up and went, you know what, they're talking a lot of sense, and made the changes instead of stubbornly doing what you've been doing for the last 6 years, we might actually all together live in harmony and start to go in the right direction. As long as we're going in the right direction, I don't think there'll be a lot of moaning. I don't. But at the moment, it's just stubborn. Let's carry on doing what we're doing. We think we're right. 95% of fans yesterday, when they saw the team news for the West Ham game, knew we were screwed. If 95% of Manchester United fans know we're screwed an hour before kickoff, why the hell do the board, the players and the coaching staff not realise that? You know, it's scary, some of the naive things we're doing at the moment. So that's what I think about Solskjaer. I'm not Solskjaer out, but I think, there's enough pros and cons in there. I wouldn't sack him. And the reason I wouldn't sack him is because if you sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who are you going to replace him with? Let's say it's Pochettino, let's say it's Laurent Blanc, let's say it's Simeone, right? They come into the club, they're still working under the same hierarchy at United, who won't release enough funds for us to really rebuild, and are still massive, massive problems. So, actually, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer might not be the right manager for Manchester United, but I wouldn't sack him because why should Ed Woodward or the Glazers or whoever makes the decision have that decision again? I don't trust them to sack him and replace him. They've tried it 4 times now. What I would like to see, and it's probably never going to happen, is a total restructure at that football club. Now, ideally, that would be the Glazers selling up. But if they're going to stay, removal of Ed Woodward, removal of the board, and appoint people in there who know what football's all about. David Gill was very, very good at it, but director of football, obviously, we've spoken about that. A total restructuring of the football club, because you cannot have, and this is going to make you cry, since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, we've nearly spent £900 million. Not net spend, but total spend, 900 million. Obviously, we've sold players as well. 900 million has nearly been spent, right? Our team yesterday has got Jesse Lingard up front. Our most important player, Paul Pogba, doesn't want to be here. And apart from that, you've got players you don't know whether are good enough, a load of youth and a load of past it players. And we're in the worst position we've ever been in. And we spent £900 million to be here. 4 managers and £900 million to have a team like that yesterday. It's shocking. And that's not Mourinho, Van Gaal, Moyes or Solskjaer's fault. They're all little contributors, but there's been 4 different managers, 4 different squads. The constant is the board upstairs. And any business in any world would look at that and go, you're fired or we're restructuring this. It's staring Manchester United in the face. Absolutely. Nobody really wants to talk about it. They do a little bit, but it's staring us in the face. £900 million nearly spent, 4 managers, all that money spent and all those managerial appointments and sackings have been done by one board. Now you can name names if you want to, but let's just say a collective board, whether it's Glazers, Woodward, others, whatever. The Manchester United board is accountable for where Manchester United are right now. Right now they are, and that is what I want to see changing. Whether it's restructuring, removing of people, it needs proper football in there, people in there, and it needs proper accountable decision making, and we are not getting it. I would like to see that restructured. Then if the new person comes in and goes, you know what, Ollie, you're a great person, we can find you a job, but coaching wise you're not good enough, I'm firing you, then that's fine. I just don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should be fired by these incompetent people who run our football club, because they're just going to bring in somebody else. Because the bottom line is, all they're bothered about is doing it on a budget anyway. So that is one thing I'm 100% behind. The restructuring of the club upstairs is essential. Any other business, there would be major problems. You can't spend 900 million and keep sacking managers and appointing the wrong managers and then always put it onto the manager. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like, as I said the other day, it's like being the restaurant owner and sacking your waiters. They're just delivering the food. If you're not providing the right ingredients and the right, background or hierarchy, then don't sack your waiters. It's clearly the owner's fault, and that is 100% correct. I can't move away from the fact that Ollie's causing himself problems in the short-term immediacy of what we're doing, the selections and everything like that. But let's not forget, the club is broken. It is broken. And any United fan who is sat there this morning going, oh, let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see what happens. Or it's not as bad as everyone says. Or I don't want to think about it. You're burying your head in the sands with your big bum sat up in the air waiting to get lubed up. And that's, crude but true. We are absolutely going to get screwed over, and it's going to get worse. Ollie hasn't got a squad. Even if he is the man to stay, which hopefully he is, and even if he starts playing the right way, we will still struggle to get in the top 6. Even if we were playing Ollie ball of the first 3 months, we will still struggle to get into the top 6 because that squad's not good enough. We know that. We said it before the season started. We're not flip-flopping. Everybody said before the season started, we'll struggle to get 4th. We will be in the top 6. We'll probably be 5th or 6th. And we knew that before. Reality is, because of Ollie's team selections, because of injuries, because there is no vision, we're probably going to do worse than that. But I think even if we were achieving Ollie ball of the first 3 months, we'd struggle to get in the top 4 because we do need major investment. 2 things are going to happen. It's either going to get a hell of a lot worse, or there will be some actual leadership in the club where they actually start listening to the people who care about the club, i.e. you, and they start going, you know what, the fans are right. We do need to restructure this. We do need a director of football. We do need to spend more money on the playing staff. And we probably need more support for Ollie and his coaching staff. And it's going to be a long road, but we're going to start building a vision. And the scariest thing is, there are easy copying templates out there. Look at what Klopp's done at Liverpool. Look at what Chelsea's doing with Lampard. I mean, Rio Ferdinand mentioned what Klopp did with Liverpool. And I'm sorry, Rio, you're miles off, mate. You're miles off. You cannot... Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's been here for 9 months. Klopp came in October, September time. 9 months later, I think they finished about 8th, but didn't they get to a Europa League Cup final or something like that? The progress was a little bit slow. But Liverpool, if you speak to a Liverpool fan, in that first 9 months with Klopp, he didn't play, really good football for the first 3, then start parking the bus to get results. He constantly played the way he wanted to play. He removed the players who didn't want to be here, but he kept playing the same way. The mistake Ollie's made is, he came in for 3 months, we loved it, the football's brilliant. He got rid of Fellaini, brilliant, this man knows what he's doing. But what he's done is, since he got the job, he's scared. He's scared because he had a bad few results. He's parked what he's all about, and he started trying to grind results out. That's his biggest mistake. He's grinding results out. He's coming out with quotes like, I'm playing Matic because he's experienced. He's playing Mata because he's experienced. He's trying to grind results out with experienced players, and he's turned his back on what he actually was all about. Klopp didn't do that at Liverpool. He kept doing what he was all about. Yeah, he got bad results, but he kept playing the same way, kept showing his philosophy, and the Liverpool fans bought into it. Ollie's thrown his philosophy away to try and get results with experienced players who also Ollie's been here for a long time. I've not been here for a long time. We've been here for 6 years and beyond. Buzz Lightyear. We've been here for a long time, and the reality is he's trusting players we know aren't good enough. I'm sorry, Juan Mata yesterday, worst player on the pitch. Brilliant blog writer, absolutely brilliant human being. Crap yesterday. Forget the open goal miss. That would have papered over the cracks. A terrible performance. A terrible performance against Leicester. He's done. Whoever at the club gave him a contract should be sacked. And I love Juan Mata. He was done on the opening day of the season last season against Leicester. He's been done for over a year and we gave him a 3-year contract. This is what I mean. The decision making in that football club, it's mates rates. There just seems to be too many fist pumps, mate rates in that club. Oh yeah, let's get Everett involved. Yeah, he's fine. We know Ollie from back in the day. There needs to be strong leadership in that club. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, my message to you is, I back you. I backed you. I wanted you to get the job. And I wanted you to get the job based on what you did in the first 3 months. You played one holding midfielder. You played box-to-box next to them. You played 3 dynamic fast forwards. And we were quite good defensively even then. But you went forward. What are you doing now? 2 centre defensive midfielders. Most of your forwards are slow. Most of your team, in the attacking sense, are finished, like Mata and Matic. Go back to what you did in the first 3 months. And if you get beat 2-0 by West Ham with the likes of Fred and Gomez and Lingard off the right, I will still not be happy, because we should never be happy to lose, but I will understand what you're trying to do. If you're going to get the sack, go and get the sack based on why you got the job. Don't start doing this defensive crap because you're scared that you're going to lose your job, because you will lose your job that way. Trusting Matic and Mata, you're going to lose your job, mate. I don't want that to happen. Everybody wants you to be successful, but I'm sorry, that West Ham game, your team selection was wrong, your tactics are wrong, and you deserve the criticism. But the bigger picture, you're right. He won't admit it. We know what the bigger picture is. 900 million, 4 managers, and people want to sack this manager and let the people who've caused all that chaos sack him and replace him. No. The first people who need to go this time, it ain't the manager, it's the people upstairs. They need to restructure or go. They're responsible. Yeah, the football's not good enough. Maybe Ollie's not the right person, but sacking him won't solve the bigger problems. He maybe goes at some point, but for now, they've got to sort it out upstairs. They've got to open up the bank. They've got to stop earning interest, pump money into the club, and get a director of football and start restructuring, because the decision making is poor. Get your comments in below. We're live at 8 o'clock with a call in. I'm sure we're going to get lots of people calling in about that. What are your thoughts? I've tried to cover both sides. The reality is, Ollie ain't getting sacked. The reality is, you've got to start thinking in your mind where you are, because this fuzzy thinking, it'll be all right in the future. I disagree, Rio, and I'd love to have a chat with you about it. But the point is, Manchester United are in the biggest bit of trouble they've ever been. Mourinho's right. We are worse than we were when we sacked him. We're in a big trouble. I don't think we've been this bad since we were relegated. And you can't keep burying your head in the sand. Something needs to be done. Apathy cannot reign. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all at 8 o'clock live.